BOC, Bank of Canada Monetary Policy Report Review, April 2004, highlights, analyzed and condensed by Dwayne Green. Bank of Canada BOC Monetary Policy Report. In 2021, the Government of Canada and the Bank of Canada renewed the flexible inflation targeting strategy of the monetary policy framework for a further 5-year period, ending December 31st, 2026. The inflation strategy of the BOC Bank of Canada 1 the inflation target was renewed at the 2% midpoint of the 1 to 3% control range, with inflation measured as a 12-month rate of change in the Consumer Price Index (CPI). The government and the bank agreed that the best contribution to monetary can make to the economic and financial well-being of Canadians is to continue its focus on price stability. The government and the Bank of Canada Bank also agreed that monetary policy should continue to support maximum sustainable employment, recognize that maximum sustainable employment is not directly measurable and is directly largely a non-monetary factor that can change through time. Bank of Canada Monetary Policy Report. Inflation easing in most economic countries and is expected to come to central bank targets in 2025, excluding Russia. The agreement further notes that the bank will continue to use the flexibility of the 1% to 3% control range to actively seek the maximum same level of employment and condition warrant. The bank will also continue to leverage the flexibility inherent of the framework to help address the challenges of structurally low interest rates by using a broad set of policy tools. The bank will use this flexibility on the extent that that is consistent with keeping a mid-term inflation expectations anchored at 2%. USA growth. The global economy is expected to grow at around 3% a year this year and next, 2025. Bank of Canada previous monetary policy report. Share share of real GDP, USA 60%, Eurozone 12%, Japan 4%, China 18%, oil exporting EMEs 34%, rest of the world 60%. United States projected growth in 2023 2.5%, 2024 2.5%, 2025 1.8%, 2026 2.2%. Eurozone projected growth in 2023 0.5%, 2024 0.4%, 2025 1.2%, 2026 1.7%. Japan projected growth 1.9% 2023, 2024 0.8%, 2025 0.7%, 2026 0.5%. China projected growth 55.2%, 2024-23, 2024 4.7%, 2025 4.4%, 2026 3.9%. All exporting emerging market economies. 2023 3.9% projected growth, 2024 3.5%, 2025 3.7%, 2026 4.0%. Rest of the world. 1.2% projected growth, 2023, 2024 1.7%, 2025 2.7%, and 2026 2.5%. World total projected growth in 2023 3.1%, 2024 2.8%, 2025 3.0%, and 2026 3.1%. Canadian population growing. 1. Supply of workers. 2. Recovery of household spending. Consumer sentiment. Canadian excess supply 2024 and to diminish by 2025 as economic demand catches up. Canadian businesses not rising prices. U.S. business investment is boosted by strong consumer demand as well as federal government incentives in the Inflation Reduction Act and the Chips and Science Act. U.S. government spending is robust, particularly in the state and local levels, where it is closely tied to tax revenues. Strong federal government spending is widening the budget deficit. U.S. growth, low-income households relying on revolving credit. Growth in the U.S. economy is then anticipated to increase towards the middle of 2025 and rise to about 2% in 2026, as growth in consumption strengthened in response to lower interest rates. Headwinds to activity in China. Economic activity in China has been restrained by ongoing deleveraging in China's property sector, which is weighing on consumer confidence. In addition, business in some sectors face uncertainty regulatory environment. However, fiscal and monetary policies are expected to provide a temporary boost to growth. Falling export prices are also helping to lift. Growth is projected to slow from more than 5% in the past year to nearly 4% in the latter part of the projections. Growth in business investment is expected to weaken, partly in response to a shrinking workforce, continued current weakness in the property sector. High levels of product debt are expected to increasingly constrain growth in public spending. Increased oil prices. Brent oil is trading above the $80 US dollar price assumed in the January report. Two main factors have supported prices in recent months. Members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries (OPEC) and some of the non-OPEC oil producing announced their intention to extend the voluntary production cuts through at least the middle of 2024. Gasoline prices have kept inflation elevated at 3% to the end of 2024, but retreated to 2.5% third quarter 2025 and 2% target in 2025. The latest estimates of population growth is in 2024 is so 3%. Population growth is projected to average 1% in 2025 and 2026. The nominal interest rate in Canada is expected to range between 2% and 3%, up 25 basis points from the January report. This is without inflation in this metric. Canadian economic contribution average annual real GDP growth. Numbers in parentheses from estimate in previous month. Consumption 2023 0.9%, 2024 0.6%, 2025 0.8%, 2026 1.1%. Housing 2023 negative 0.9%, 2024 0.4%, 2025 0.6%, 2026 0.5%. Government 2023 0.5%, 2024 0.7%, 2025 0.7%, 2026 0.4%. Business fixed investments 2023 negative 0.1%, 2024 0%, 2025 0.3%, 2026 0.2%. Subtotal final domestic demand 0.5% 2023, 2024 1.7%, 2025 2.4%, 2026 2.2%. Exports 2023 1.9%, 2024 1.0%, 2025 1.1%, 2026 0.4%. Exports 2023 negative 0.3%, 2024 0.6% negative, 1.0% 2025, and 2026 negative 0.6%. Inventories negative 2023 negative 1.0%, 2024 negative 0.6%, 2025 0.3% negative, 2026 0.1% negative. GDP 2023 1.1%, 2024 1.5%, 2025 2.2%, 2026 1.9%. More items. Present change. Range of potential output 1.4% to 3.2%. 2023. 2024 2.1% to 2.8%. 2025 1.1% to 2.4%. 2026 0.9% to 2.2%. The gross domestic product GDI negative 1.0% 2023, 2024 1.4%, 0.7% 2025, at 1.6% 2026. CPI inflation 2023 3.9%, 2024 2.6%, 2025 2.2%, 2026 2.1%. Signs of softening wage growth. Wage growth is showing some signs of moderation. Most measures of wage growth have declined since the fourth quarter of 2023. The range of measures are now around 3% and 4%, as opposed to 4% and 5% at that time of the January report. However, for the such wage growth to become compatible to 2% inflation target, productivity growth would need to increase substantially. Pricing behavior is normalizing and should continue to do so in the coming months. With the economy expected to remain in excess supply and growth in input costs slowing. The findings are broadly consistent with the bank's business survey, which shows that fewer businesses are planning unusual large and frequent price increases over the next year. House prices could increase more than anticipated due to strong demand, which would boost inflation by rising shelter costs. New international trade disruptions stemming from global tensions and conflicts, including wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, could impact global commodity prices and impede the supply of traded goods. Thank you. The end. Thank you. I hope this was informative and you gained some knowledge from it.